Are we live on Restream? We are live on Restream. Are we live on Twitch? Yes, we are. Are we live on YouTube? I believe we are. Okay. Let's see if the chat message goes through. We've got it here. We've got it on Twitch. And we've got it on YouTube. Looks like we're live. Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right, let's get started. Did I stream last week? Yeah, I did. So we started on the replay data retrieval API. Today, I want to figure out how I'm going to be able to do this without endangering the server. All right. I had notes on this somewhere. Yeah, we had these notes. So, what did we do? We added some code on the server that detects something. It currently doesn't detect anything, actually. So that we gotta add. So it needs to and I'm happy to hard code that for now for a test run. So early next week, tomorrow hopefully, I want to just do a test run on some puzzle, just to test the mechanics of the system, not to actually collect data, right? So step 1, notify browser of replay collection session. All right, and we're doing that by basically injecting collect replay JS and collect replay. So we have this code, which then detects when the puzzle is solved, hooks itself into the dialogue, right? And gets all the way to counter here. Right? And we'll have to determine exactly what we want to do here. And then gets all the way to post replay, which executes replay submit API and outputs the result. And on the server, replay submit is here. Okay, which currently just parses the JSON. All right, so we should be able to see something down here. So if I load this, it'll say collect replay init. Okay. So on the server, let's output something here as well. Modify SudokuHTML. Update replay collect. HTML replay collect. And then we'll just here console.log inject replay.js into and we just should have the shirt ID here. So if I do this and then I'll reload this, here should I inject into 9x9/001-1. Okay. Then here we get the already solved dialog, but that's not what we care about. We care about actually solving it. So then that hits, so we had replay init, which basically says, if we get a no errors dialog, we run this, right? Now, handle dialog solved. We're getting the counter info. So we'll need to determine, so we're gonna have a couple of sort of checks. So check 1, when to notify browser. So by puzzle short ID. 2, when to send. All right, actually this is gonna be the answer. So we'll just, so when to notify browser by puzzle short ID. All right, when to send replay data. And the answer is on puzzle solve dialog if data has not been sent. Right. And then 3 is basically when to store received replay The answer here would be if validity checks. Yeah, so check validity. And by that I mean there's some things I want to include into the puzzle data. So actually validate replay data and kind of verify storage limits. So I want to very strictly store only a certain amount of data and a certain number of files. So we're checking, hey, if we have more than X replays or whatever, right? Now the other thing we want to do is we want to associate each collection with some sort of, not project, what's the word? Session, research session, campaign, something like that, right? So we basically say, hey, we're recording at this date range for this puzzle ID for this session. And that data needs to come through. And then the session, because we might want to also, for example, terminate a session. We want to be able to say, hey, we're going to collect 100 replays and then stop, right? Things like that. So the means of doing these sorts of things is our counters, right? We also have, and this is something I was looking at last time, in the solve counter system, we have a check if a puzzle had already had its counter incremented. And we can use that same check for the replay data, right? And that's our sort of primitive first check. Has this data been sent already? But we can potentially check it on the server as well, right? So we also want to do hashes. So any combination can only be stored once, right? And I'm not sure if you want to accept identical replay data. We'll see. Replay, or what shall we call it? I don't like replay. Well, okay. Replay data package. Payload. Here we go. So the replay data payload should have, obviously, a replay, a user ID, and the user ID is replay specific. So it's not associated with anything else, right? Date/time. We want short ID. We have the replay data, puzzle short ID, and I think we actually already started assembling that here. We have the puzzle short ID, date, get replay, and we'll probably want to include something we're sending from the server. And that something from the server maybe will be the hash of the puzzle date. Now the question is, we need to figure out if the hash we're sending can be generated on the client as well. Because that would be pretty cool. Because I'm thinking right now, if we have a one-way hash, so we internally have a hash of puzzle data. But because the puzzle data that we're hashing is not necessarily identical, it's sort of a normalized format, right? So unless I can replicate that normalization on the client perfectly, I can't necessarily guarantee that the hashes would match. Basically, I'm trying to figure out, is there some data I can take to the client that the client has sent back that lets me avoid people sending garbage data, right? The problem is they can always just retrieve that data as well. So let me think. The hash in the database of the puzzle data itself, right? So let me just open that. Go to the puzzle database, puzzle info. So we have a hash here that gets generated. Let's figure out exactly how that gets generated. So puzzledb, right? Get by hash, create hash, puzzledb utils, create hash. Okay, so it's just a SHA-256 hash. Now the question is, can we replicate that on the client? That all depends on if the data we're hashing can be normalized in some sort of way, right? So create hash puzzle data raw. So this puzzle data comes out of validate puzzle raw. Now, the data that actually gets sent back to the server, let's check the API call for that. So it's this, right? Get puzzle, get by short ID. So we're sending back puzzle raw, and according to this, we're running validate puzzle raw. All right, validate puzzle raw, which does what? The other problem is puzzle raw might not be accessible on the client. We'll think about that. We'll look into that. So what does puzzle raw do? It does a bunch of stuff. But I could technically run this on the client, exactly like it is here. I mean, the problem is anybody who wants to spoof the data could just copy that function, right? But the idea, well, they'd at least need to have the puzzle, but I don't think that'll actually help us. Because that information is all accessible to whoever wants to spoof data. The idea is to basically prevent people from just spamming the system with invalid data, right? And I think data validation will be the biggest key here anyways. And just rejecting bad data. I mean, I don't even know if I can stop them from uploading like massive amounts of data. I don't know. Can I prevent amounts of data from being uploaded to my API? I think if I just tell it, hey, if the payload isn't completed at certain amounts, you know, just block it, right? Quest, but is it inherently wrong with very large files? Yeah, I don't really want to. Post a file associated with the rest of the website for purpose JSON, yada yada. Yeah, there we go. File upload protection. That's kind of what I'm looking for. All right, so I'm guessing this is trying to sell a product. Okay, yeah, we'll look into that as well. Probably not necessary for this test. All right, so to the user ID needs to be generated. Let us quickly look at the solve counter, because here we're generating data if it doesn't exist yet, right? So get counter data, this dot load data. Using framework.getData. Alright, we probably should stick to that. And I think it's this point where we want to do that. So I think the way I want to do it is this just does it, just sends the data. This is where we're going to check all the conditions, right? Okay. So we'll probably want to have a constant here for the key. I will just say that we'll just call it replay ID, right? Let replay data or replay storage. What's that? And then we'll just output that here. Okay. And does that put something down here? Replay storage is null. Okay. So we basically want to check if replay storage is null. We'll get a user ID. Do we want to store if a replay has been sent? And which replays have been sent? Or do we just reuse the counter? Because the problem is the counter here might happen too early. So solve counter get. That's not what we're looking for here. Get counter data. Get counter data. Show get counter data. This has multiple pieces of data. Okay, wait. Framework dot features. Okay. Can I await that? Okay. And if I do it for... wait, no. We need the counter ID. So, get counter ID. Okay. So if we put that in here... So it gets us a count and a first count. And if it says I liked it, but that doesn't seem to be recorded here. So how does it know I like this puzzle? Huh. Wait a second. Liked. Is liked. So maybe something's different here. Let's have a look. Hey, Qbert Trojan, how are you doing? Is there a way to open any of the non-featured puzzle on your website, or do I need the Steam app for that? What do you mean by non-featured puzzles? If you have a link, you click on it, it should just open. Like, which particular puzzle? Do you have an example? Because yeah, lots of puzzles are open in my on SudokuPad on the website. You don't really need the app for that. All right, so is like this true? Counter is true, like is true. So get counter data does something different here. Get counter data. Load data. But wait. Solve count. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's wrong. I need to run this, not solve counter get. Here we go. All right, so counter true like true. Okay. Now, if I do load data instead, so if I do these two, and I do .load data, okay, so then it gets me a list of all the puzzles. And that might be particularly large. JSON.stringify .length. Yeah, depending on what, I mean, if it's a link to SudokuPad, for sure. That's why I'm saying, like, what kind of puzzle have you found that doesn't open in SudokuPad, right? Because the puzzle, you know, it's like saying, I don't know, can I open a document in my browser? Well, if it's a link to a web page, you can open it in your browser. If it's a paper document, you cannot, right? So obviously, if it's a... One second, my microphone is unscrewing itself. Where am I unscrewing it? Ugh, I think I might be unscrewing it. Excuse me, this is super annoying and noisy. But how far has it unscrewed itself? Okay, quite a bit. Oh, I need to tighten that. Now, hopefully it's not going to be so wobbly anymore. So, I don't know, for example, if I go to this place, right? These are links to SudokuPad, so if I copy this link, and obviously that'll open in SudokuPad, because it's a SudokuPad link, right? Now, if it's a FPuzzles link, for example, SudokuPad can open FPuzzles puzzles, you just have to reformat the URL a bit, right? Obviously, if it's a link that has nothing to do with SudokuPad and it's not the puzzle data, let's say, I don't know, oneuppuzzles.com, for example, then SudokuPad won't be able to load it. So it depends on the link. Yeah, so for example, if you go to sudokupad.app/assets/demo-killers.com.html, that's 5,000 killer Sudokus. You just click on one of these and it'll open up some basic generated killer Sudoku puzzles, right? So give these a try. A lot of people find, or like most of the puzzles currently available through the CTC fan Discord and some other Discords. There's lots of YouTube channels that use SudokuPad. They often link to puzzles under those. There is... I'm working on resources to kind of list where you can find more puzzles and things like that. But yeah, there's... I almost have 200,000 puzzles, I think, currently registered, so to speak. What's the total number of puzzles? Do I not list them here? Yeah. Over 200,000 puzzles now. So any of those puzzles will work. It's just... there's not a good way of finding them all right now. Okay, so that's 22 kilobytes. That's not too bad. I mean, it's counter IDs. I really need to come up with proper ID numbers for these things to just avoid things like that. All right, so we are now getting that data sent back to the server, right? And now we basically need to do validation on the server. So well, we haven't actually made this decision yet. So we can either add a flag to this thing, but then it'll be tied to this kind of ID. And I think collection will be handled via short ID. Data collection will be by short ID? Actually, no, because data collection might be... It should be by campaign, right? Because you might want to collect data again for the same short ID at a future stage, and you don't want to resend it if the puzzle. Yeah. I'm thinking right now because would we? No, it would have to be by a campaign ID, right? So we'll in the server, we'll have to attach a campaign ID here, right? So if I add something like this, data, something, data, HTML data attribute. Because I'm not sure if I can even get access to my own thing, right? Replay campaign equals. So let campaign ID equals ABC 1, 2, 3. Okay, we'll do something like this. And something like that. And then in here, I want to see if I can, no, not in here, in here. Under init, we'll want to do something like console log document.query selector script tag that has data dash campaign. So CSS select data attribute. So we'll do something like data dash. And what did we call it? Data or data campaign? Replay campaign. Data dash replay campaign. Replay campaign. So if I do that, am I just gonna get it? We get the script tag. Data attribute. Do I want to use data set? Isn't there some like get attribute or something? Probably not. All right, pull that. Yeah, equals that. All right, we'll do that. And then we'll do el.dataset. We'll do that, and then we'll do el.dataset.replay campaign. And see if these come through. Dataset, replay campaign. Okay. So if I do something like this, we'll do something like let replay campaign equal that, or probably better that. Right? If I do something like that, what do we get? We get that. Okay. And if I do this... No, I don't like it. Awkward. Don't need to do that here. Do we want to do that later? Like, we can do it right away here, because that data is available on startup, right? So we'll probably want to do something like let replay campaign, or just campaign ID, something like that, right? And then we'll just say campaign ID is this, like that. And then we want to make sure over here it's still the same. So if I do this now, I'll do this. We'll have counter ID. We have campaign ID. Okay, so now we basically can say, hey, I want to collect data once per campaign ID. Jesus. And we'll basically just have to store an array of campaign IDs that has been collected, right? All right, so that'll take care of that. Now, on the server, yeah, we got that, We need to figure out where we get the campaign ID from. So we still have the whole configuration thing to figure out. And I almost don't like this being part of this file. I might actually want to extract this into another file, just so I can update it without updating the whole server and having to well, if I update the code, I always have to restart the server. Well, it eventually should be in a configuration file of some kind. All right. So now we get the request JSON, which I think we've gotten here a couple of times. Well, right? So if I do this, we'll do that. And here we get the request JSON, right? Which is this bit. And this is already compressed, so we're not going to touch that. Should be fairly small. And then we'll run some checks here. We almost don't need any of this stuff. I don't know why this is included here. Holy moly. Almost feel like I want to strip that and just include the data. But I think for now it's better if I just leave it alone. And I don't necessarily even want to parse it on this end. We might just want to... Well, we do want to parse it because we want to validate the data a little bit, right? Although most of the validation will be mostly just like, hey, size. If it's small enough, we'll just accept it. Because any additional work we do actually makes a DDoS easier, right? If we just dump it on disk and make sure we don't dump too many files and too much data, all they can do is deny this particular service. But if we start parsing it, they can burn CPU cycles, right? And then it becomes easier for them to do damage to other aspects of the server. All right. I don't know why I worry so much about server security. I don't think I've ever, in a practical, real-world scenario, had this kind of stuff to issue. But I probably spend too much time in these circles, so it starts bothering me. Okay. So basically, at this point, what we have is we'll store things by campaign. So every campaign should get one entry from a particular user ID, right? So we can identify the files as user IDs, I guess? No, because a campaign could span multiple puzzles, right? So one campaign could get more than one sent item from a user. I haven't thought of that. So it's per campaign and puzzle ID. Yeah, it's a bit tricky because the puzzle IDs are long, right? I could use these. What's the shortest form to write this? I guess a hex string. It doesn't get much shorter than that. MongoDB object ID. That's our unique identifier, right? There's not the object ID 12 byte. 4 byte. So 12 bytes means 2 characters per byte. So that's 24 hex characters, which isn't great. But it's potentially less than, well, short ID is actually going to be a little shorter than that on average. Yeah. So we'll probably go with short IDs for now. And I don't think it's going to be a problem because it's not like other systems that run on a lot of users. We have very tight control how often this stuff runs, right? So, storage. Folder or year per campaign ID. File per. So the file name should be made out of. I mean, we probably don't need the campaign ID again. So we'll probably want user ID dash puzzle ID. Now, we can't actually use the short IDs because the short IDs might actually not be valid. They might not be valid file names unless we encode them. Is there something better we can do? Or do we just dump them as a random file name and then afterwards we parse them? Because this information is in the files, right? So yeah, I think that's good enough, right? Like, the whole point is that afterwards we have a bunch of files and then and they might not even get stored as individual files. They might get stored as a single zip file or something, right? And then afterwards we just run a process on them. Yeah, so we're just gonna generate a random file name. And I think Linux might have a built-in method. Linux generate TMP file name. I think there's a mktemp, but it generates a temporary file which we don't actually need. Linux generate collision safe random file name. Oh, generate random file name every single time. Also, what's Node.js get random file name? Is that a thing? So they suggest just generate your own. Like they're just creating random strings. They don't really shouldn't really be long. So I guess the best thing is to just create like an 8-digit string and then just recreate them and stuff. Is that something like this would be doing? Returns the full path of a unique file name that looks like dir prefix dash or dir dash dir. Okay. That's exactly what I want. But I feel like I don't need to use a library for this. Unique slug. Okay. Unique slug. But this doesn't guarantee collision safety, right? Generate a unique character string suitable for use in files and URLs. Strings, but it will be 4 randomly generated bytes converted to 8 hexadecimal. Okay. That sounds like another one-liner. And it is. Oh dear. Okay, so I think that's just murmur hash 3. Are you kidding me? Why? An incremental implementation of murmur hash 3. General for JavaScript based on this version, but as a non-incremental version if you need to hash many small strings into a single hash. String concatenation to build a single string to pass non-incremental version is fairly costly. In one case, tested using incremental version was about 50% faster, kind of in 5 to 10 strings and then hashing. Download the latest version, include the string on your site. Okay. Yeah, we don't need any of that. We'll just generate a random thing and we'll just make unique random file name. And that's it. Boom. And then afterwards we can post-process it, and that should be all we need. So let's do this. We need to configure these things, right? So Yeah, let's do this. Config. Per campaign. So per campaign, we'll have campaign ID. We'll have start date, end date. And we'll have to make sure we're time zoning this correctly, etc, etc. In fact, let me just have a look at how I do it for the promo system. For the promo system, I'm doing this. But that on the server, on the client. How do I ensure? How do I ensure this isn't this isn't my time? Because I know it works, but I don't remember how I made sure it worked. Config, boom. Default settings. Okay, config, sure. Start. Hours. Add start and hours return false. UTC start match. Holy shit. Really? I'm doing all of this? I is 1. I is 3. 2. No, 0. The heck? Oh dear. Date UTC start dot match. We're pulling out that. So we're throwing away the first, which is the year. No. We're grabbing all the matches. Yeah. Okay. Minus. Gosh. All right. It'll be a lot easier than this because we don't have to make it work on the client. So, campaign ID, start date, end date. Currently, I think I'm just gonna do a single puzzle short URL. I think that's how I'm gonna initially run it. Down the line, we might run something different here. So start date, end date, short ID. This is all server-side check. This shouldn't make it to the client. Which means the client might submit after end date has passed as well. The other thing is we are probably going to convert the client date time to ISO, which means we don't know the time zones of the client, which is a bit strange, right? So if I do new date, if I do dot to ISO string, that doesn't include the time zone. If I say dot to GMT string, it just converts it to GMT, which isn't really useful either. Dot to, what else do we have? To JSON, but I think that just calls ISO string, right? Dot to UTC ISO string, UTC string, but that's also just UTC. GMT and UTC are the same at the moment as well, which is super confusing. Time string, I think that gets us the time zone. To locale string, date string, time string. Hey guys, get time point offset. Maybe we include the time zone. I don't know. I mean, we could include that. Let's just include it. So we'll have time zone offset. Per campaign. Oh, no. Config. Replay payload. So we have short ID. It's just time zone offset, date, user ID, replay date. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the user ID. Replay storage. So if I do this, yada yada, we go to replay storage is null. So I just want to have a function that says get function get I don't want to call them user ID. Maybe call it a solver ID. Let's do something like that, right? All right, that goes in here. Do we need that stuff here under handle? Yes, because this is where we do all the checkaroonies, right? So, if we do this, we can do const solver ID equals get solver ID. And I think I should standardize to all lowercase for these kind of pseudo database fields, right? If replay storage should contain a bunch of things. So we need to read the solver ID, and we need to read if the replay has been all right, let's not pull it out separately. I'm gonna bounce back and forth here a little bit. So let's forget that. Let's put that in here. Because we'll do two things here, actually. So if replay storage is null, we'll give it a user ID. Or do we just gonna do something like this? And then, and we'll do this, and then we'll say if replay-storage.id, if not replay-storage.id, I'll just do something, get random something, right? Equals math.random. So if we'll do a 8-digit numeric ID, or do we want to do hexadecimal? If I do math.random times 1e9, for example, that gets 1e8, that gives me 8 digits, right? If I do or 0, it gives me, does this always give me 8 digits? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or what if I make it just bigger? And then we'll do something like .toString 16 E-N. I think it's easier if I literally just do if I do something like array 10 dot map 0. If I do something like this, no. If I do something like this, right, and then I'll say math dot random that I get random numbers. If I shift left by like that, nope. I shift left by 1, 2, nope, okay. Wait, bitwise shift left JavaScript. Can't believe I don't remember bit shifts. It is that, right? So why can't I shift left by 8 bits? What if I do this? What if I do that? What if I do it the other way around? Alright, doesn't matter. Times 256 or 0. Right? To string 16. Add start. Wait. Add. Add. Start. Yeah. Okay. Add start. 0, 2. Boom. Dot join. Boom. So that should always get us 20 hex digits, which we don't need. So if we want a 8 hex digits is plenty. 6 hex digits is how many? 6 hex digits is 256 to the power of 6, right? No, that's 12 hex digits to the power of 3. So 1.6 million. That should actually almost be enough. But if you go by 4, it's that. Right? And if I say math.random times 40. Oh, that's why. Math.floor. And if I do this dot to string 16, then dot pad left. So now we have 4 bytes. That's 8 characters. So if I do 0, 8. Math. Dot floor. Unexpected something. Pad left is not a function. Pad start. So that's 8. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. Never a 0 at the front. Eventually there should be a 0 at the front, right? Random after all. It's a random draw. That's 8 characters. Come on, come on. Give me one with a 0 at the beginning. Just so I know I'm not going crazy. God damn it. You know what? Good enough. If I go by hex digits, I can actually just do times 16 power 8, right? Alright, so we'll just say function random hex. Create random hex. Then equals 8. And I'm gonna do it this way. And it's just this. To the power of len. Len. Right? So, equals blah blah blah. Const storage key. User. Not user ID. What do we call it? Solver ID. Length. Solver ID equals 8. So rip, something like that. Solver ID. Boom. So if I do this, and then go here and do this, solver ID is not defined. Sure, fine. But replay storage should this have this now. Okay, let's skip this for a sec. Right? We go here. We've got a solver ID. And the solver ID is 8 hex digits. That's a 30-bit number. 4 billion should be plenty. And not too long. Not enough for half the world's population, though. But probably enough for our purposes. All right. And we don't encode any user information, no time zones, nothing. We do include the time zones, but, you know, I think that's fine. Then, so what else do we need? We need to know if our solvers have yeah. We need to know if we need to know if we have solved this already. All right, sorry, if we have submitted this already. So we basically want a key if not array dot is array, and then for the submissions we'll just store a true false. I think that's all we need. We don't really want to store any additional data. And a true false, it would actually be stored quite large. No, we're not storing a true false. We'll store the campaign ID or the puzzle ID. I think for now we'll just store the campaign ID. I think it's better if I keep it one puzzle per campaign. If we want multiple puzzles per campaign, we'll just create a campaign for each puzzle. I think that makes more sense. In the future, if I want to dynamically pick which puzzles, we'll change it and we'll figure something else out. So, and maybe campaign is not the best word. In research, what's the word of different sort of research studies? Study ID? Studies? Experiments? EXP is short, and it's... Alright, well, I'll stick with campaign for now. I don't like that the word campaign has an association with advertising, because it has nothing to do with advertising, right? But it kind of skirts around things that people associate with that, and I don't like that association. So we're actually going to change that to campaign ID, just to keep my brain a little bit less busy, right? So we'll do that. We'll do that. We have a campaign ID here now, right? And then we'll just say it's array campaigns. We'll do that. We'll do that, right? And then we'll just say if campaigns dot includes or contains. Includes campaign ID. If my syntax highlighting tells me there's something missing. Here we go. And we'll do dot push like that. And then we'll output it again. So if I do this, boom, 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 boom. So replace storage campaigns 0, campaigns 1. And it'll just store a set of strings here, right? And it'll be up to us to manage campaign label length, yada yada. And at this point, if the campaign... No, not at this point. At this point, if we don't find the campaign, we're out of here. No, if we do find the campaign, we're out of here. And we don't even save this stuff. Right? So what we'll do is... in fact, yeah, we'll do something else. If this... We'll say... campaign also already submitted. Posted. Return. Boom, done. So for now, I'm just gonna exit here. We're gonna put that. We'll put that there. Get rid of that. So now we have a campaign ID, we have a solver ID. I think I might... The question is, do we want to save it before we've submitted things here? Actually, you know what? No, we could update it afterwards, right? So we could say post replay at this point. We can say await post replay. Because now we have an option of throwing an error and not actually updating all this, right? And at this point now we'll do this. And then once that is done, framework set data. Set data, storage key, replay storage. Boom. I need to come up with a name. Let's call this status. Just to kind of simplify the terminology here. So if I do this, we'll do this. All right. So now this should have been saved. If I do this now, and I do this, we'll get to here. Includes campaign ID. 2932, 2932. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. All right. So here we're out of the campaign. Solver ID, actually, we don't yet care about. We'll just do that over here. We'll probably post the solver ID into this. Yeah. So solver ID goes in here. Like that. Solver ID. We'll do solver ID here. Get puzzle ID. Date. We set a time zone, right? So new date. Or date dot get. Nope. If I say new date dot get time zone offset. All right. So, mission date grab that. Date is that. Easy is dot get time zone offset. Like that. And then we have, so what did we want? Replay data. We wanted the solver ID, right? We wanted, we want the campaign ID. We'll put the campaign ID in here. We'll pass the campaign into here, right? So, campaign ID. That's not true, actually. Date time. I think it's in this order, right? Solve ID, puzzle ID. Let's keep the terminology concise. Date, time zone, replay. So if I do this now, refresh this, do this, and it won't submit anymore. So if I exclude we'll probably want to do this for now so I don't go crazy testing. Actually, you know what? We want to get rid of this and of this for now. So if I do this, okay, so what gets submitted? We have a campaign ID, we have a solver ID, we have the shirt ID, we have a date, we have a time zone offset, and we have replay data. Okay, now back on the server, we need to configure a few things. We need to figure out where the campaign ID comes from. Do we load configuration already at the stage? Ew, I don't think so. I don't think so. We need some server-side config here. And we need a way of refreshing that server-side config. Which means, how would we do that? Would we just check for config updates every couple of minutes? Would we have an API call to the hell of the server? But then we might as well just restart the server. So for now, I think I'm just gonna hard code the config in here. But maybe at least I'll put it in a place. Something like this, config. Const replay selection config equals. Now, we'll basically want to have campaigns. It'll be an array, right? And we'll have a campaign that's called test01 or test1 01, right? And that'll have a start date. And this should be, is this gonna be the server date and time, or is this gonna be in my date and time? What is the time zone on the server? I don't want it to be dependent on that. So we probably want to express it in UTC, right? If I say date here, it gives me UTC. So we'll probably express that in UTC. So new date, whatever, 2024-11-10 0 0 0. If I do this, right? Is that gonna be in UTC or in local? That's gonna be in local, right? JavaScript date from UTC. Date.utc. So if I say date.utc, and then I'll go year, month. Except I think some of these are gonna be weird, which is the annoying thing. Year is... Okay, it's just the year. Month index is 0 based. So that'll be 10, which these things are... Ugh. Days is 1 based. Ah, why do they do these things? JavaScript. Why is month 0 based and day 1 based? Just keep you on your toes, yeah. 28 years. It's still there. A lot of bad parts. The worst thing is that some of them haven't been fixed in decades. First, we're talking about dates. It looks like the end of date is near. Plain date. But this is... Why? This is horrible. Long-standing pain point in it. Browser times are a global object that act as a top-level namespace, like math. Brings a modern datetime API to the ECM. Okay. Based as reported docs on common use cases we examined has multiple types of different kinds of data plane. Zoned datetime. Yes. Oh my god. Types have a time zone. Yes, please. Is that... But this is from 2023, huh? When temp will be available? March 21. It's stage 2 draft. New type substance and policy is when you could show for each state city, then they're ready for inclusion TypeScript. For Node major browsers, you'll need to wait more. Okay. In case it helps, it doesn't for most. JState is a copy of Java's JDK 1.0. Java util date made it look like Java. So they just translated it. So JDK fixed it. Okay, the Joda time library, which imported to Java.time package is baked into Java 8. Sure, it took 18 years for Java to get a correctly designed datetime API built. And Java's still stuck back in the dark ages. We do indeed have excellent libraries, an excellent moment. But as of now, there's nothing more than date built into the language over this change in the future. Jesus Christ. Yeah, exactly. All right. That was a trip down memory lane. 1 second. Let me check. All the chats are still up. All right. Okay. So we'll just deal with that for now. Oh, I shouldn't have closed that just yet. Hour, minute, second. So these are also 0 based. Okay. 0, 0, 0. Right. And then we'll say start date and end date. We'll just go to the same time on the next day, right? So we'll have... Do we want to do this? No. No. We'll want to do something like this. Campaign ID. Boom. Campaign ID. Start date, end date, short ID. Short ID will have this, for example, right? So now we should be able to check that in here. Is date.utc giving me the current. Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. New date. Date equal up. Right. So now, if we're looking at this, actually, if we're looking at it here, it should get us the campaigns, the date, and all of that, right? And then we should be able to do something like let campaign equals Do we support mobile campaigns? No. No, it'll just do the first one it finds. So it can we can only have a puzzle only be a member of one campaign at a time. Yeah, it makes sense. Dot find dot campaigns dot find c dot campaign sorry dot short id equals short id. So we'll do that. So what do we get? We can find a campaign here. Start date and date are not real dates. If I do this, God, the date API is horrible. I mean, at least it's consistently horrible. So now, I should be able to do something like date greater equals start date. Ooh. And small equals end date. All right. Refresh that. Start date is not defined. Oh yeah. Okay. We'll do something like this. Const. Let's campaign. If not campaign, return HTML. Boom. Done. All right. Community start date and t-shirt. So we'll have community start date and date short ID. Short ID has already been played. Right. Huh? So, refresh. Boom. True, true, true. Okay. So, if short ID is already confirmed, so we don't actually need it. Okay, so if this and this is, and we'll do the opposite, greater than end date, turn HTML, boom. Or we do it the other way around. If campaign, right? And then if greater equal short date and end date is smaller or equal to end date, do this. Boom. Right? We got all that. We got our campaign ID, and that's it, right? If I do this now, we get all that. We don't need that. We do that. Like that. We probably don't need to do that. Get rid of that. Okay. So now we have that. If we do this, now we get back the campaign ID, the date. So now we need to validate the receiving side. which is slightly less important than actually storing the data. So let's do that first. To do. Ooh. Validate against campaign. But for now, I'm happy to just store it. Where are we gonna store this though? We need to create a folder. So, Node.js, fs, mkdir, find recursive. So, we'll do this. Campaign config. Storage dir. And it will be, how do I make it relative? Actually, do I want it to be relative? Node.js project root relative path. Boom. Project root based relative path. Process root. Oh, simply adding this to an update. Symbol for project root. Your name. Let's do something slightly different. Something like console.log. Oh, let's just output it. Hey, Marussia Dark, how are you doing? Yeah, almost done in terms of the sort of ready for the test. Let's put it that way. There's a whole bunch of little improvements I want to do, but I think it's better if I just get the test up and running. So, dir name doesn't really give me project root. It doesn't get me... It gets me source root. Oh man, I've done this before. Imports. Relative path. Project root path. Determine project root from running Node.js. Yeah. So, last index of /source. No, that's assuming. Last index of project name. No. Traveling upwards from dir name until you find a package JSON. Decide that's the app main directory. Current file belongs to Ux. Alright, we know where we are. We totally know where we are. So we'll do path.join. We'll do dir name. Which is where we are. Then we want to go down twice. Right? And then finally we want to do data /replays. Right. And now if I do this, and then do this, nope. So we'll need to do something like that. Const campaign ID equals campaign ID blah 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 blah. Okay. So do it again. Campaign, here we go. Actually, don't necessarily need the campaign here. Right. We'll need... Oh, that's good enough. Replay config storage. stored dir. All right. So, storage path will be let replay path, or just say data path equals path dot join this dot storage here. I call it storage path. Dir looks weird here. Storage path, comma, campaign ID, and then we can just do data path. Boom. And that gets us this. Now, if we do this, let's p make dir data path cursive true. Wait. What does that look like? Almost ready to test in the bingo app. Ah, cool. Trying to decide what to add in terms of settings and options. At the base room of screenshots export to seating. Sweet. Don't add too much. Make a flexible system that lets you add things as they come up. That's my humble advice. Don't wait till you have it perfect. Let's put it that way. Cool. Data, replace. There we go. And then we'll do let fn equals I guess path dot join. Oh, okay. I'll tidy up. And then we'll just do a random ID, like I've decided earlier. I gotta finish, actually. I'm running over time. I started too late. Let's just whack that in here. Very, very messily. We'll just do something like this. Create random hex of 8? No. 4? 6? 8. 8 is fine. Plus dot JSON. And we'll do that. That's our file name. And normally I would want to check. Don't need that. fsp.write file. We need to look at this path, blah blah blah. All right, so fn JSON.stringify and div 8, and we'll deal with file name collisions. Roots. Status. Okay. And boom. And something happened, and here it is. And then later on we can parse it. All right. So I need to iron a couple of things out, add some checks in, and then maybe I can run it on something smallish tomorrow. Maybe today's gas, so it should be too overwhelmed. And see what it looks like. And the changes on the server are actually quite minimal, and the changes on the in the engine is also fairly minimal. Like if we're looking at this, god damn it, I keep grabbing the wrong window. This actually is nothing, right? Yep, we just get rid of that. And then here we'll just clean up some logging bollocks. And in fact, I can do that as well. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need the counter stuff at all. Post replay is already done. Don't need that. Just need these 2 lines enabled. Don't need that. We probably should move that into here. Campaign ID. Like, we'll do that here. Don't actually need that up here. Just passing it through. Don't need that. Update metadata. Done that. We can just turn that like that. Probably leave those in for now. And that's more or less it. And then we'll add some sort of flag to do add test flag in query string so I don't go crazy trying to test it. Sweet. That's it. I gotta run. I think this can go live tomorrow. It's not complicated, so, and it's low risk. Like, it doesn't do anything. Like, if this is completely broken, it should still not affect the server, really. Little more concerned about the client, but even there, the only thing I can see is if there's some sort of exception here that messes with the dialogue. But I don't think that's gonna be a huge problem. To deal with errors and errors, inc file name collision. Right, we want to do that. We want to do that. That's done. Validate is needed. Don't need that. Campaign. Yeah, we need that for this. Okay. That's pretty much it. Probably can get rid of that. Probably don't want to log that out, just in case I accidentally deploy this. I don't want my logs getting all junked up with this, including that. For now. And that's the thing we need to update. To do move into file with recheck/refresh. Probably what'll happen is I'll make sure the thing gets reloaded every 5 minutes or something. I don't know. Or maybe I have a file watch. Can I do a file watch from within Node.js? Node.js file watch. That'd be nice if I could just run watch file on that. This watch. Use. Boom. There we go. That's it. All right. Thanks for stopping by, Uber Trojan and Marussia Dark. See you guys in the next one. Take care. Have a good rest of your day and bye bye.